Good evening and welcome to the Economic Times Best Realty Brands 2020-2021. I'm Isha Bhalla, your host, welcoming you on this virtual platform. Real estate has been among the stronger sectors in the Indian economy for a number of years now, as the involvement from the government and the private sector has driven rapid growth. The global pandemic COVID-19 has seen a very challenging year when it comes to all the industries, real estate being no different. Among the many learnings, the year saw a growing thrust towards digitization and technology adoption, chronicling a new era in the industry. The Economic Times Best Realty Brands 2021 is a showcase of the growth the realty sector witnessed, challenges we faced, how it overcame the challenges, and what will determine the growth rate of the years to come of this very sector. As this sector trends on the path to recovery from the year gone by, it has to realign to face new realities and meet greater expectations. We bring to you a platform where experts take stock of the situation, analyze the past, and build the future roadmap together. We bring to you thought-provoking discussions, along with fireside chats, experience sharing from the very best in the industry. But before we begin, let me now invite Mr. Apurv Kumar, Head Content, ETH, to please set the tone.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to you on behalf of the Times of India Group and ETH, and welcome to the launch of the coffee table book, The Economic Times Best Realty Brands. The real estate sector is one of the most globally recognized sectors, which comprises of subsectors like housing, retail, hospitality, commercial, and mixed use. The growth of this sector is very well complemented by the growth in the corporate environment and the demand for office space, as well as urban and semi-urban accommodations. The construction industry ranks third amongst the 14 major sectors in terms of direct, indirect, and induced effects in all sectors of the economy. India's infrastructure and the real estate market has made a dozen of multitude and technical developments and innovations, which has helped India create a mark and expected a major contribution towards reshaping the future of this industry. The Indian property space has proven that we are not far away from the global leaders when it comes to assimilation of artificial intelligence, application of machine learning, and other technological innovations to the field. This development has only been possible because of the robust demand, attractive opportunities, and the increasing investments in this sector. With this in mind, the ETH is proud to announce the launch of the coffee table book, The Best Realty Brands 2020-2021, where we are focused and showcasing how India is marching towards a global benchmark with the perfect mix of technology-driven evolution in the real estate sector. This initiative by ETH is designed to bring various innovations and disruptions under the reality umbrella with an eclectic mix of panel discussions, keynotes, and eventually highlighting the success stories from the real estate segment in India. As a part of the Best Brand series of coffee table books that ETH does, we are happy to announce that we had shortlisted more than 200 companies for the Best Realty Brands, out of which we are very happy to receive the patronage and partnership from the brands which are present with us here today and which are a part of the coffee table book. Not all brands which have been shortlisted have made it to the coffee table book, but we are very happy to announce that some of the leading brands across various segments in the realty sector have decided to participate and be a part of this coffee table book that is being launched today. I urge all of you to pay very close attention to the deliberations that take place today, and all the best in all your future endeavors, and congratulations to all of the brands which are a part of this initiative today. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Kumar, for setting the context for the evening and really starting on such a positive note. So the Economic Times Best Realty Brands really is about acknowledging brands that have shown constant innovation, have created the best camaraderie between themselves and their consumers, are relatable, and really the style of operation is the one that their consumers love. I'd also like to encourage all our viewers to please head to the social media, be it Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram, and share their thoughts with us using our hashtag ETBestBrands. And as we get all set for this very interactive evening, I'd like to welcome all of you to please engage with us. Stay tuned because there's a lot that's going to happen on this very platform. We're now all set to present to you our keynote address on technology-driven evolution. And let me extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Sharad Mittal, Chief Executive Officer and Head of Motilal Oswal Real Estate. Very warm welcome, sir.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here talking to all of you through the new medium, which is the digital medium, and very topical for today to discuss about how technology and some of the new trends that we are likely to witness in Indian real estate. Let me run you through some of the key thoughts that I have put together for today's discussion. If you want to really crystal gaze how the real estate growth can look like over a period of next 1 decade, we'll probably have to look back. There is no better learning to learn from the history, and we need to look back and see where we are coming from, and how we are positioned right now, and where the sector can take us. Let me start with looking at the last decade, and as I call it, the lost decade of real estate. Seems very hard, but this is what the reality is. 2010 to 2020 has been an extremely tough decade for the real estate. And there are multiple reasons for it. We kind of divide into various periods, say a couple of years each. But if I have to really look back, I would say this has been an era wherein we started after the GFC, and there was a consolidation which took place after the global financial crisis kind of got over in 2009-10. 2014 to 16 is the period in where there was a stagnation in the market. It was coming at the back of massive price rise that took place. Unfortunately, that price was largely speculative. We saw era of stagnation. Most of the Indian real estate developers have come into business after 2001. They had not really witnessed this kind of stagnation in the past. Then 2016 to 18, watershed years. And when we look back, I would say 10 years from now, we would remember 2016 to 18 is the game changer years, the watershed events in Indian real estate, because there were regulations which are brought in. It's a very large sector. It remained unregulated till May of 2017. And RERA, the regulator, was put into the place. And there are various other reforms, largely with an idea to protect the consumer and bring transparency into the sector, were brought in. Of course, we also, by the fag end of 2018, had ILFS crisis happening, which led to liquidity crisis in the sector. 2018 to 19 is what I call the era of destruction. What has happened during this period between 2018 and 19, the sum up of the last decade played out. So 2010 to 14, 14 to 16 of stagnation, developers surviving some way, there was liquidity coming from NBFCs, era of regulations and reforms, there is accountability which is fixed by the government. All of that played out in 2 years between 2018 and 19. And then the pandemic hit us in 2020. People were ready to declare that real estate is going to be the worst affected out of it. I have a different view on it. I believe now we are at a very important juncture as we look at the real estate, looking into the new decade. I think next decade is a decade of hope. And there are multiple reasons I believe are there in the place. First and foremost, we are at a multi-decade low interest rate. We are at a 15-year low interest rate right now. I remember the last time I saw these kind of interest rate, mortgage rates were in 2005, which was sub 7%. We are firmly below 7% at this point of time. There has been a rising demand and supply gap, which has been witnessed. If you see, post-regulator came in May 2017. Post that, year on year, the fresh consumption is more than the fresh supply of that year. It's a self-correcting mode. We are already 4 years into it. I believe in next 2 to 3 years, we will reach an equilibrium where demand and supply would have a fair equilibrium in place. Prices have been stagnated for 5 to 7 years. And let me just spend some time on here. Across top 7 cities in India, at this point of time, the prices across the market are of 2013-14 in absolute terms. And if I put an inflation on it, then we are at 2006-7 prices. It's extremely staggering data to talk about. That a real estate, a country which is housing deficit, a country where there is a migration which is taking place, the prices in absolute terms are of 2013, prices inflation adjusted are of 2006 and 7. And it has happened because the sector has gone through a massive churn for the reasons that I told you in last 7-8 years. Highest affordability in last 20-25 years. The income to property prices are best in last 25 years that we are witnessing now. They were worst in 2010. Less volatile and more resilient as an investments, largely because of this stagnation in prices. People coming at the bottom of the cycle will probably have a better chance. Some of the external factors, government has been very supportive of specifically one sector, which is affordable housing. And I have seen over a period of last 5 years, there have been series of reforms, series of benefits that they have given. And I believe there is continuous focus to have impetus around affordable housing. And I see that continuing. I think there, as we talk about technology, as we talk about how pandemic is changing the habits of people, how they work, shop, eat, and entertainment, technology is going to be the backbone of it. And India is the outsourcing capital of the world when it comes to IT. It's also the research and development center for the world. And I think as we move towards more technology-driven businesses and consumption, India will benefit out of this. IT companies have been doing really well over a period of time. I remember during the lockdown, the way the numbers were coming out of the IT companies they were stellar. And I think the way the entire world is moving towards adoption of digital, it will benefit Indian companies. I think government support is critical. I would say real estate is one of a large pillar within the infrastructure development of India. When we refer to infrastructure, we largely refer to dams, airports, highways. I think real estate, specifically affordable housing, is one of the key factors in the infrastructure. Look at the last budget where government has put large allocations for infrastructure. I'm hopeful some part of that allocation will come towards affordable housing. This classical debate about owning versus renting, there are two parts to it, and let me address it both financially and the non-financial. One of the arguments which is put forth all given point of time, that it was always beneficial to rent a house and it is a 2% yield. Why should somebody own it? I will give you two reasons for that. First, a practical need. Right now, most of us are working from home. It would continue for some time, and whenever we reach a new normal, I don't think so we'll go back to the earlier way of doing work. People will continue to work from home, if not for all 5 to 6 days, but a couple of days in a week. There is a practical need of owning a larger home. There is a practical need of having a home which can be designed your way, and it will become more convenient if you happens to own the home. Now let's look at the other part of it, which is the Excel maths on renting versus owning. Right now, the mortgage rates are 6.75%. The rental yields in India are firmly between 2 and 3%. There has been price stagnation for 8 to 9 years now, between various cities between 5 to 7, but on an average, 2013 March was the peak property prices in India. If somebody starts buying house now, there is best possibility that over a period of time, there could be a capital appreciation of between 4 to 7% that can come. And that will bridge the gap which is there between rental yield and the mortgage rate. And the last and not the least, one thing that I have listened continuously from family, friend, colleagues during the lockdown, especially from their family members, that owning a house gave them a sense of security, because there was so much uncertainty during the lockdown. We were not really sure how we are going to come out of it. It's an intangible emotional attachment which a house gives. And I'm really talking about people who are financially very savvy, people who understand the entire asset allocation, they also felt that owning their own house gives their family a sense of security in uncertain times. This is the chart. I'm trying to just put data along with some of the facts, some of the statements that I have said. Look at this data. It talks about affordability versus price increase. If you really see from 2011 to 2020, on an average, property prices have gone up by approximately 22%. At the same time, income levels have gone up by 78%. The catching up will take place. If you really look, the fact that I was saying that the property prices are most affordable in 25 years. This is demand versus supply. Clearly, after the RERA has come in, RERA has put rules and regulations into the place. RERA has put transparency into the place. Gone are the days where developer could have just given earnest money for the land, and before they have secured the approvals, they could launch the project. Those are not possible under the regulated environment. Year on year after 2017, the new absorption is more than the new supply. We still have an inventory overhang. I'm a firm belief that over a period of next 2 to 3 years, this inventory overhang will be taken away and there will be a fair equilibrium between demand and supply. Sales have been muted over a period of 9 years. This is despite the income levels gone up by 78%. And this is one key reason for it was lack of trust towards the developer. I believe RERA has solved part of that problem. Also, the entire liquidity crisis and the regulated environment would mean that only large, serious developers will stay in this business. This business would lead to a massive consolidation. India today has almost 80,000 developers. There is no space for so many developers. Also, look at the way the goalpost has shifted. The key skill of most of the developers a decade back was the ability to buy land and get approvals around it. Now the key skill is ability to sell, ability to get that consumer's confidence so that he is able to see a house with a large credible developer. So the goalpost has moved from buying land and getting approvals to the delivery of a project within the given timeline, quality, and price. And more, the sector will be driven by the end users, which was largely driven by speculators earlier. Now let's come to the main topic that we are discussing today, technology, role of technology in real estate. I keep telling people around me that real estate is one sector where technology is not going to be a disruptor, it will be an enabler. You look at any other sector, whether it is banking, whether it is restaurants, whether it is events, everywhere the technology is coming as a disruptor and the consumer is getting benefit of it. Real estate will be enabler. It's classical brick and mortar. You cannot replace technology. Technology can be enabler, and technology can be enabler at the 4 stages that I look at it. First, in real estate, the value creation happens in 3 stages. First stage is at the time of buying the land. Second stage is in the development margin. Third stage, when you do sales of the project. Right now, I would say bulk of the innovations which are taking place, adoption of technology as I may call, within the real estate is happening in sales and marketing. What we are witnessing is there are specialized selling agents which are coming in helping developers to sell their inventory. Their technology is playing a large role. I think the first leg of it, which is land and approval, government has a large role to play. How do they improve the land records? They brings in transparency around the transfer of title. How do they bring more efficiency in data collection? How do they simplify the approval process and bring in transparency in the overall process of buying the land, assessment of the land, and keeping the data in more digital form? I would say the first leg of it belongs to the government. It's not going to be very easy. The record goes back for multiple decades. Situation in some of the registrar office is something I would say still some time away before they can adopt technology in the way that we want to see it. Development stage is somewhere I think developers can do a lot to really adopt technology for bringing in efficiency. You start with reduction of construction cost cycle, efficient and cost saving through AI, ML, and other monitoring tools, better quality building technologies. India is the only place, one of the developing countries where the environment is something which doesn't take forefront. But if you want to attract right kind of capital, not only for capital, for our own reasons, we need to adopt clean air technologies. We need to adopt technologies which are environment friendly. I think there is a lot of work to be done in this stage, and technology can be a big enabler. Last is the sales and marketing. I always look at, and today's the event is on ET brand, and I used to always speak with a developer, and I would always see hoardings on the road, and I would ask them, what is the plan for marketing? And they would say, look, we have put that hoarding, and those hoardings will have some alien foreigners with a one kid running and husband wife behind, and I was not able to ever relate what are they talking about. I think real estate developers probably need to understand there is a big difference between brand, sales, marketing, and PR. And I think as we move from unorganized to organized, there is a long way for us as an industry to distinguish between these four and have a dedicated effort towards all these four. I think as an industry, we at times overlap all of them. Largely, we confuse marketing with everything else. But I think as the consolidation takes place, brand building will be one of the things which will be done by real estate developer. More targeted in marketing. If we need to look at millennials as one of the key consumers as we go in the new decade, buying process needs to be simplified. The whole experience to go into a real estate project, a lot of it can be done digitally. A lot of the experiences can be done from people sitting from their home. Of course, when it comes to sale, I believe artificial intelligence and data is something which will come extremely useful as we move towards a new way of doing sales. Overall, I think technology will play a big enabler. Efficiencies will improve. Project cycles need to reduce dramatically. If we compare ourselves to any of the other large economy, a project life cycle in India is anything between 5 to 7 years. I have a friend, he says, I bought a house, my son was 8, he's 15 now. And look at the emotions that he's going through. This is one critical thing that technology can help us reduce the project cycle, transparency, trust. As an industry, we need to understand that we are selling the biggest consumer product a person buys in his lifetime. AC also comes a warranty of 3-5 years. He's making a biggest purchase. Trust and transparency is going to be the critical game changer as we go into the new decade. Just to summarize, I believe the new order of the business in the new decade, trust will be the biggest driver for growth. While previous performance will be basis for building trust, what needs to be done in the future will be very different. Governance and transparency will be the two most critical factors. If I want to sell something under construction to someone where the house will be delivered and there is a promise to deliver within a given timeline, price, and quality, he will be only able to buy if he trusts me. Adoption of technology, implementation of environmental friendly methods will give an edge. Some of these are enabler for brands and companies to move to the next orbit. Business will become more specialized. Right now, everybody does everything. So some bit of it has got cleared up in last 5 years, but there are specialized verticals which will be there. Very important point. Whatever recovery that we are seeing in sales, all developers will not be beneficiary of this. The consumer very clearly will make choices between the good, bad, and ugly. Global capital will come into India. There is just so much liquidity globally. Let the dust settle on around the residential real estate. Let this momentum of sale, which has been there for last 6 months, continue for 9 to 12 more months. I have no doubt in mind that the global capital will flow in huge quantities will come into Indian real estate. I hope, unlike the last lost decade, we have very enriching next decade. There is a lot of activities and things to be done from an industry perspective, but I remain very hopeful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Sharad Mittal, for such positivity, for really encouraging and seeing how the market's going to change for the better. Like you very rightly mentioned that the last year or so has been very, very challenging for us in the real estate market. You took us through the entire decade of real estate, and just how you mentioned that technology is the backbone of real estate today, how we can use it to our benefit, and how we can really look forward to this adaptation and to be on the good side of really changing ourselves and more. So I'd like to thank you for joining us for the keynote address. And once again, I'd like to encourage all our audience members to please head to the social media. Please do remember to tag us using our hashtag #ETBestBrands as we look forward to your comments. We have a very, very special panel joining us now, sharing their thoughts, their experiences, and more on our theme of agility versus resilient. Does resilient brand need to be more agile? Where we have our panel discuss various points from the COVID-19 learnings that they have, how they, along with their teams, were really open to changing, how one can really bring about innovation, how one can be flexible, what, according to them, is a wrong or a right investment, all this and more. But before all of that, let me introduce to you our session chair. A very, very warm welcome to Mr. Sandeep Sethi, Managing Director, West Asia, JLL. May I also present to you our power-packed panelists. A warm welcome to Mr. Murli Malayappan, Chairman and Managing Director, Shriram Properties. May I present to you Ms. Nirupa Shankar, Executive Director, Brigade Group. A very warm welcome to Mr. Mani Rangarajan, Group CEO, Elara Technologies Housing, PropTiger, and Makan.com. We will also be joined by Mr. Anuj Puri, Chairman, Anarok Property Consultants. So let's look forward to a very, very engaging panel discussion right here, chaired by Mr. Sandeep Sethi. Over to you, sir.
A very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this panel session. It's a very interesting topic we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about agility and resilience, a topic that's very relevant in today's world. And I'm delighted to have an opportunity to moderate this panel, along with some really well-known and solid professionals from our industry. And they've already been introduced, so I'll go straight into the discussion. Let me say a few words, points to set the context, and we'll get into the discussion soon after that. Last year, when the pandemic hit us, it caught us all by surprise. And the first reaction was really of shock and disbelief. It was only after folks realized the severity of the situation they were dealing with that they tried to get into execution mode. And the first thing they did was to ensure business continued. They wanted to ensure the lights remained on. They wanted to make sure cash was conserved as well. After they had a grip on the situation, they sort of then went into a long-term response strategy. And there we saw two thought processes. You had one group of organizations that said, let's just get back to the old normal. And then we'll figure out what we need to do after that from a long-term perspective. Then there was another group of organizations that said, hey, we think the world's going to change. Let's just go straight to what we think should be the new normal. And those companies were sort of very progressive. They were agile. They wanted to build a long-term strategy, and they used the pandemic as an opportunity to move in a completely different direction, which they believed was the right direction for them. Now, almost a year down the road, almost every company has realized that BAU is not acceptable, is not an option. The world has changed and will continue to change. So we have to be agile. We have to build resilience. Now, God forbid, but the fact remains that what we went through could happen again. It could take another shape, another form. It could be called something else, may not be a pandemic. So we've got to make sure that navigating through a crisis again becomes easier if we have to go through it again. Now, what that requires is a change in mindset, and it also requires a change in approach. It requires a lot more agility, like we discussed a few seconds ago, and that will determine the resilience. Now, resilience, as we know, is an important aspect for any organization to be prepared for what's next. That's the context of what we want to discuss over the next 40 minutes or so. Like I said, I'm joined by really the best of the best. We got Anuj, we got Nirupa, we got Mani and Murli. I'm going to have I would say, the tough job of asking tough questions. But I know the answers are going to be very, very relevant and very thought-provoking and insightful, because I've spoken with all of them over the course of my experience in real estate over the last many years. And every time I speak to them, I learn something new. I'm going to start off by asking a very, very, I would say not simple necessarily, but very pointed question. What does a resilient portfolio mean? And Anuj, you're on the top of my screen. You're number one on my screen. So I'm going to start off with you. What is the resilient portfolio? In other words, can you also talk about what have you learned from the pandemic as far as the resilient portfolio goes?
Thank you very much, Sandeep. Delighted to be on your panel. I love the background that you have, and with my friends in there, Murli, Nirupa, Mani. It's a fantastic panel. Look forward to the next 40 minutes. So Sandeep, what is resilient? I was thinking through that. What is it that the organizations who've done well have delivered? I was thinking probably 4 or 5 things, Sandeep, that they've done well is. The first one is that they've sort of prepared and shaped up well for the next normal. I love the way that you opened it up, that, this is a pandemic, there could be something else tomorrow, maybe a different name. I think the organizations who've been resilient have prepared themselves during this pandemic and said, we're going to shape up for the next normal, whatever that normal will be. Second is, I believe, Sandeep, they remain very true to the DNA of that organization. So, I've had the pleasure of speaking with Nirupa and her dad. And, I love the way that they have continued to remain very true to the DNA of Brigade. And, we sort of debated that. And I felt is that it is important to continue to remain true to whatever your culture is. Third is, I think organizations who communicated transparently and openly. Look, Sandeep, none of us knew what was coming in. I mean, we are no gods. We didn't know what was happening, whether to open the office, not to open the office, get in the staff. How do you deal with your clients? How do you deal with your vendors? How do you shape up the expenses? How do you manage your cash flows? I felt is that as long as you were very communicative, transparent, and dealt openly with the dialogue, that was good. And two other things I would say, which has been true across the board, and lots of people have said this, is that they have accepted the social impact, means that there has been more empathy within individuals. And I can tell you is majority of the people that I have known, Sandeep, there has been more empathy of what the social impact of their businesses, their meaning of living through this really meant. And lastly, I would say is resilience in terms of technology, in terms of digital, in terms of flexibility, in terms of being able to lever the legacy and the brand and the trust that you have created. So a lot of things, but I would say is technology, digital, flexibility, legacy, trust, all is there. But above that, I would say is really the empathy, communication, remaining true to your DNA, and then preparing yourself for the next normal.
We are no gods, says someone who's referred to as the god of real estate. I like that. But Anuj, you brought up a very good point. It's we've seen this across the board, that being true to oneself, being true to your values, and having that compassion and connecting with employees, showing empathy, is really what sustained many organizations, because employees were at the center of this disruption, and organizations that came out with sincerity and transparency could manage to take their employees through this crisis with them. So very valid points. Nirupa, I want to ask you the same question. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yes, thanks for that, Sandeep. Good to be here. Thanks, Anuj, for those kind words, and nice to see Murli and Mani on the screen as well. My thoughts were, I think Anuj did bring up a great point on core values and, staying true to what a company is. But what I saw also in the industry was, there were a couple of basic principles also, right? So the companies, like over leveraging is what we've seen time and time again. When companies are over leveraged, they're not able to withstand blows like what this pandemic brought to us. And, like our chairman has probably seen like 4 large downturns, I think, over the course of his career. And so being conservative in how leveraged you are, is, I think, one of the basic principles, financial principles that, we have done over the last few years. And that has helped, during the tough periods. The other basic principle is, I would say, diversification, right? When you have diversification of your assets or your portfolio, and these are, the 2 basic things of any business, I would say, right? Have a diversified portfolio, diversified investment portfolio, and ensure that you're not over leveraged, so that in bad times, you're able to withstand whatever blows come your way. And with regards to the portfolio, what helps is to have multiple sources of income, so that all businesses are not fighting the same battle at the same time. So sometimes you have an annuity business, sometimes you have a cyclical business, and both kind of help each other out. You're able to sustain in some cases when the market is down, your annuity income helps you. When annuity income has kind of stopped, like how we saw with retail and hospitality for a bit, but somehow residential was doing well, that sort of helps you out. So I would say those 2 principles for sure. And I agree that, like basic core values are important, like having a quality product that can withstand the test of time, so that whatever new technologies come out of, there is a new competitor building coming up next to you, your product has high enough quality to withstand new competition and the market over a sustained period of time. And probably the last point I do want to say is that, sometimes when the going is tough, your people will stick by you based on what you have done over the past few years. Like if you've always been fair to them, if you've always been a trustworthy employer, if you've always treated them the right manner, they will stick by you. In some cases, we had to, all of us took pay cuts, starting from chairman down. He, didn't take salaries for a very long time. We all took large pay cuts, senior management top first. And all our staff stuck by us through that tough period. And then, when the time was right, you get back to where you were. We also looked at, setting up a hospital at this time. Granted that cash flows were not great, but we said, okay, let's set up a hospital for charity at this point in time, because this is when the ability to do good matters the most also. And I think the people, the community around that appreciates what you're doing, and then they tend to have some loyalty towards a brand. And I think loyalty towards brand is an extremely important factor over a long period of time. So these would be my 3-4 points on building a resilient portfolio.
Thanks, Nirupa. That's very, very grounded advice. And when times are good, it's so easy to get carried away and get into different product lines, different business models, and take those risks. But you're so right. If you are balanced, diversified, and conservative, yet aggressive at the same time, then you're better prepared for such times. And your last point around being fair to your people so that they stick with you for the right reasons is very similar to what Anuj mentioned as well. I see that as a common theme. Totally resonates with what I've seen as well. Murli, I'm going to go to you next. Your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, thanks, Sandeep. Nice to see Anuj, Nirupa, and Mani. Sticking to basics, basically, that's what we always looked at. India, there is a potential for set of product and sort of business. And in fact, when I was teaching in IIM Bangalore about 12 years ago, there was a question, where do you see the demand for affordable housing tapering? I said, next 20 years, I don't see it is tapering. Now, recently, about 3 months ago, somebody asked me the same question. Again, unfortunately, my answer was, next 20 years, I don't see that's coming down now. So there is a demand for a specific product. See, any of your product is in alignment with the common man's need. There is going to be a constant demand forever. So if one can choose to stick to that, then you are keeping away yourself from various turbulent times. So pandemic is one, which is unexpected. But even then, there are certain basic needs which people look for. As long as you are able to provide that, I don't see any major issue. With respect to, like Nirupa brought it out nicely and Anuj talked about, the transparency is another most critical one. So it is not only being transparent with your employees, governance. See, as an organization, how transparent you are to all your stakeholders, then they stay with you in all the cycles. Everyone understand, everyone appreciate, everyone is intelligent to understand what is happening around. But it is up to the organization to behave themselves in a proper way so that they could manage any of the turbulence is what we look at. So we also took pay cuts, started from top management. We took 50% pay cut for the top management, then graded down to 15%. And some people, we just left untouched. So below a particular level, we just kept paying, despite pandemic. So only beyond a particular level, we started with 15% and 50%. Then, when Q3, we did phenomenally well. Not only us, I'm sure, a lot of other people have done well, good brands have done very well. And immediately at the end of January, we went back and we reversed the whole thing. So people were extremely appreciative of what we had done. When the market was down, people accepted. When the market came back, we went back and offered back, whatever has been withheld. So being transparent with all your stakeholders helps you build a very strong brand, and sticking to core market where there is a strong potential and where you don't see any downfall. There could be bumps, but you will not see downfall. So sticking to those basics, and more than everything else, being simple, particularly in Indian context, being simple, being conservative is what is appreciated. If probably, whether you have money or not, whether you have wealth or not, you can have any amount of wealth. But if you're simple, people appreciate that. If you're sticking to, ground reality, people accept that. If you're conservative, people appreciate that. That's where, even you find, I was in Chennai last 2 days, I've been interacting with a few people. So there, somebody who's got $1 billion in his bank account, he'll just walk down, take auto rickshaw and go there. He's well regarded and appreciated. Whereas I was also in Delhi last week, I met up with somebody who had, over $1 billion debt, and he was borrowing one more capital to buy Rolls Royce to go with that. I'm not saying, it's not Delhi, Chennai. I'm just saying, sticking to simplicity and conservatism and ground reality is what people appreciate long term. Then, this person whom I met is a 4th generation businessman, and they have it's a $10 billion enterprise, whereas the Delhi is just 1st generation, but made good money for himself. I'm not saying 1st generation or 4th generation, but how do you build long-term sustainable business? That's what I'm trying to emphasize.
Great. I would like to continue that discussion on Delhi versus Chennai offline. It is certainly a very interesting topic. One could say it's a matter of compulsive disorders in some cases, but regardless, you made some very valid points, Murli. Mani, I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well.
Sure. To a lot of us, I think the term resilience sometimes it connotes a defensive bias, but I think there's more to resilience than that. Resilience is just not the ability of an organization to cope with a big bang event, something like the coronavirus pandemic, but also the ability of the organization to adapt to a lot of change. One of the things which really struck me about this pandemic was that we had a complete cessation of economic activity for a brief period of time. And I don't think that's ever happened in history where economic activity came to a grinding halt. So normally when you have crisis, the crisis tends to unfold through a series of events, and it tends to intensify. But the second thing is that most of us responded solidly to this event. And I speak for companies, not only in the real estate sector, but in other sectors as well. And we probably achieved what we would not have done in 10 months within 10 days. And as my fellow panelists have said, all this has happened because of strong organizations, right? So there is a belief within the organization that we need to get this done because there's an existential crisis. So that's one. Second is that there's been an alignment across a lot of organizations on the fact that the sector and the economy would ultimately bounce back, and this was just temporary. And so everybody, tended to participate in the pain, right? So, for example, as an organization, everybody's starting from the CEO to the last person standing in our company took pay cuts, and of course, we were able to reverse pay cuts after a period of time. The other thing which I noticed during this period was that, particularly the developer community exuded a lot of confidence. There were a lot of people who said that real estate prices would crash by about 25 to 30%, but that did not happen. And that's due to a lot of developers having faith in the products, right? So you have Murli and Nirupa, who represent two of the finest developers in Bangalore. And a lot of developers, in fact, went in for price protection plans. I remember respond. So having confidence in the product and believing that the sector will ultimately revive and come back. And as an organization, we all need to share in the pain and take the pain for a better future.
Thanks, Mani. One of the things you mentioned is so true, but something that we don't keep in mind, that resilience is not just about being able to deal with big bang moments, but it's also about just to do with dealing with change, which happens all the time. So valid point. I'm going to just move on to something else now. It may sound a bit academic, but please try and make it real with your experiences and based on what you've seen around you. So we've seen different companies react differently. Some changed the delivery models, some brought in technology. Do you think it's the change in delivery model or bringing a new technology that drives agility? Or does one have to be agile to get to that stage? It's sort of the chicken and the egg situation. And Anuj, if it's okay with you, I'm going to pick on you to start off on this one as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Sandeep. So I think it's really both coming together, Sandeep, in my view. It is very difficult to disassociate these two, adaptability, agility, managing continuity. All of them is really, working together. And, my thought is the way that we've seen these organizations, they are more on ensuring that there is sort of in these times, there was a lot more collaboration through agility, perhaps less of, competition going on, best practices. I mean, I saw that within the developers as well, certainly those who had retail portfolio, mall portfolio, they were discussing with each other, how do you protect the tenants? What are some of the fiscal and financial incentives that you provide to these tenants? So, whilst there was agility, whilst there were competitors, they were still collaborating together with their retail occupiers between themselves. So clearly, sort of business continuity plan perhaps came up on the top. And that is where I felt is that all of it got mishmashed. I think Nirupa also touched on this point is about, the cost and the cash flow, which was important given where we saw in the early days, Sandeep, some of the organizations had trouble because of the debt overburden that they were carrying. And hence, even with the best of the will, given their agility, if they wanted to do anything different, they wouldn't have been able to really go through it because going into this pandemic, they were weak itself. And, it became very difficult for them to be able to emerge on the other side. So my thought is that it's a mixture of both, Sandeep, that really led to organizations coming out successful on the other side of this pandemic. Or also, we're hoping so that the next wave, Sandeep, certainly the city that you and I are based out of, does not catch us unaware.
So true. One is not exclusive of the other, isn't it? Nirupa, how about you? Do you have a perspective on this?
I feel it's more culture-led or leadership-led. Only because, I've seen how hard it is for any company to adopt technology unless it's not a very cultural thing. Unless it's not inherently part of the culture, otherwise it's very easy. There is a lot of technology. It's not like we didn't have Microsoft Teams and we didn't have a lot of this existing technology. No, none of it was being adopted because it wasn't a burning need. But of course, I feel that, the companies that were able to take advantage of the situation, and let's be clear, there were some companies that were able to thrive, post the lockdown, and there were some companies that weren't able to. And I think the difference between the companies that did extremely well post the lockdown is having the ability to, having a culture within the organization that allows it to be agile and adapt. And, it's constant hammering of these attributes that kind of gets inculcated into a culture doesn't get done overnight. Like, okay, there's a pandemic, soon can we react to this, right? It's how are you responding to it on a constant basis? How many of the companies had a disaster recovery plan? Like that's leadership led, having a plan B, having a plan C is a very leadership led thing. The other aspect of adopting technology, like sometimes there is resistance to change in general. Of course, when there's no other choice, people will adapt to it. But in general, the people who are able to thrive post these kind of shocks are the ones that have inculcated agility and this ability to adapt constantly. It's like running a marathon. Maybe you can just get up one day and run that marathon, but the ones that will do really, but you might be on a stretcher at the end of the finish line. But the ones who will do really well are the ones who keep practicing and hammering it out every day, and then those are the ones that will do the race really well. So I feel it's leadership led, and I feel that it has to be done on a daily basis.
That's a very interesting perspective, Nirupa. It's almost like you're saying you have to be always on, and it's very cultural, and that's how you're prepared for difficult times. You can't just flick the switch one fine day because times have become bad and bring in technology or bring in a new model and say, I'm now prepared. It won't happen. That's what you're saying. It's a very interesting perspective.
Just to give you an example, and Anuj will relate to this well, because if you look at the retail industry, and since we own a few malls as well, I would say the retail industry, while is 80% back, most of the retailers are back. But then if you look at the trends as to which of the retailers did well, which of them bounced back as early as September and October, November, and which are bouncing back now, it's the ones that adapted to technology quickly, that were ready with an online platform, that had different modes of selling their products. It was the companies that had a plan B, plan A, plan B, and plan C. So, and the ones that didn't slowly adopted, but I'm just saying they missed a good chunk of time as well.
I guess it's easy to go from 8 to 10 versus 1 to 10. So exactly. I get your point.
Yeah.
And Murali, what have you seen in your experience, especially over the last 1 year?
One has to be agile all the time, 24/7. It is not that, today I'll be agile and tomorrow I can take rest and all that is not possible. We have seen this pandemic, how it has taught us. See, all of us, I've been traveling like, there is nobody tomorrow. Like a mad fellows, we are all traveling. Now today, Zoom was, not known until, March 24th last year. Zoom was not in our dictionary, or MS Teams, they're not in dictionary. Today, entire life depends on your Zoom and MS Teams. And I would say today, we are more effective than what we were on the roads. So that's one side. On the other hand, the biggest learning is the pandemic or any crisis will force you to accept a new way of living life. Now, this is visible. Now, shifting from physical meeting to virtual meeting through either Zoom or MS Teams or these kind of technologies, measurable and visible. But many things in life, it goes unnoticed. But if we have the flexibility to adopt, and if we have the flexibility to change, quickly, then, we'll also get carried away. Else, we'll be missed out. See, this, is one simple example. So hence, one has to have the agility to, and also have the complete flexibility to look at the change. Just not the leadership, the entire team has to have this. See, we tried this technology to be pushed top down. And when the consultants came and said, you do top down only, it'll work. Nothing worked. Bottom up also did not work. See, the culture of the organization should have, this technology adoption as their, DNA, without which it will be difficult. So probably rather than pushing the technology, you should work on the DNA of accepting any new change. If as an organization, if the organization develop the habit of accepting any new change, then they'll also accept the technology. Otherwise, per se, they will not accept the technology. So as an organization, just not the technology part, anything, I mean, today, Sharad was talking about earlier, technology is going to make the big change. And we completely agree. Now, consolidation led to only big brand survival today. Top 10, top 15 brands are going to survive today in the entire country, which means the pie remains the same, or pie is expanding even. The demand on one side is expanding, or even if it remains same for the next 5 years, the supply is coming down a lot. So the 15 people or 20 people are going to shoulder so much responsibility, and so much their share is going to jump quarter on quarter. If they need to cope up with that, technology will be the game changer. Without technology or without adapting to new changes, even the big brands will fail. Hence, this has to become the part of DNA. So the learning comes out of the Zoom or the virtual meetings. So, but DNA has to be changed. That's very important. It's changed already.
I love the way all of y'all are sort of converging on a few themes: culture, values, DNA, connectivity with employees. It's just very heartening to see that. It makes sense as well. Mani, I'm going to just turn to a slightly different topic. We have about 9 minutes left or 8 minutes left. I want to touch upon something else, and I have one more question for everyone else. You run a very strong tech-enabled platform. Are there any solutions or platforms or ideas you've seen that can help with resilience or agility or optimization of portfolios that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I think one of the things that really struck me during this pandemic was that an organization could not just demonstrate resilience in one aspect of the business, right? So one of the things is we have a very comprehensive housing studio team which does all sorts of content products. But to help developers succeed in this time of a pandemic, right? It was just not enough for us to push such products, because there is a change which is required through the organization. So developers had to become agile and adapt to newer ways of selling, newer ways of showcasing products to customers, in getting customers' confidence, communicating about the products to customers, looking at the supply chains, looking at hiring, looking at billing, looking at invoicing, and all of that, right? So what we have found is that the developers who have really succeeded during this period have been people who have embedded agility into almost every aspect of the business, and creating a culture of agility across the organization. The second thing which we have seen and which has helped us perform well during the pandemic is being transparent, not only internally but also externally with all the customers that we deal with, in terms of the benefits that some of the products that we sell bring to them, right? So while it's easy for top management to push things down and say that that teams really need to be agile. One of the things that we have seen, which has really helped us succeed, is we have established a lot of cross-functional teams with very little need for leaders to oversee managing of the products, and people need to make decisions independently. In other words, you need to empower people through the organization and not just use technology as a panacea for resolving issues during the pandemic.
Great, thank you. That actually is a good segue into my next question. Anuj, I was going to ask you to talk about something similar to what Mani just talked about. Residential has emerged as one of the most resilient asset classes. What, according to you, was the role that the developer community played in this bounce back?
Sandeep, interesting. I never thought that residential was going to bounce back so quickly. It has been a very pleasant surprise. And not only in India, even in the US, if you look at it, US is at its 14-year high on residential. So somewhere this work from home is also encouraging people to move into better quality homes, upgrading bigger homes, maybe, more sort of safer environment, more gated communities that they are moving into. So clearly the demand came back with a rush. And I would say, Sandeep, demand came back, say, about August time. So, first 3-4 months of this financial year were difficult. But, by sort of August and, Bangalore, where Nirupa and Murli are there, they were the first ones where we saw the encouraging results. I think there were 3 or 4 things that the developer community did very well, Sandeep, and hats off to them. One is good quality developers continued at construction. They did not really stop construction once the lockdown got lifted, which was a great thing. My worry was, Sandeep, is that many of the guys will actually stop construction, and that would have brought down the confidence of the buyer. When the buyer saw that irrespective of our demand, the developers have been on continuing with the construction, and many of them can retain the labor in their sites. And hence, when the opportunity came in, they started that. Second is, I think Mani mentioned, they have been very price sensitive, Sandeep. This is in huge contrast to what I saw in 2009, where the volumes picked up and the prices started to go up very quickly. This time, the developers, Sandeep, have said is, guys, we just want volume. We just want momentum to come in. We want the unsold inventory to come down. We're not necessarily asking for prices to go up quickly. I know their margins aren't there as much, but they've really behaved responsibly to say is that we want to move the inventory. We want to bring down our debt. We don't necessarily want the price to go up. The third is, Sandeep, they've been very measured in their launches. So again, unlike 2009, when the market came back, they were very quick to launch. Perhaps many of them launched without financial closure. Many of them launched in places where there was very little infrastructure. This time around, they have been very measured and they have launched where there is a financial closure that has happened. And the last one I'd say, Sandeep, they have hit the sweet spot. I mean, certainly Murli's company, they're like exactly where Murli said is for the next 20 years, there's going to be perennial demand in that affordable mid-level housing. And that's where they have gone rather than, build the product depending on their egos. So those are the 4 things that I would say is continued the construction. They had a huge amount of pain as well, Sandeep. They didn't know where this market was going. They didn't know how long this was going to take, but they continued with the resilience to say, we will continue with the construction. They haven't increased the price, which is great because the first thing that the developer normally does is once the momentum of sales picks up, start to increase the price. This time they've said, no, let's continue to bring down the unsold inventory. They've been very measured on the new launches, and new launches only doing where there is a financial closure that has happened. And the product category that they have brought in is really at the sweet spot, at the mid-level affordable, which is where the demand is.
Excellent. This is, it just shows that it was a very conscious effort to do the right thing, to drive demand back and to sustain it as well. It wasn't just a little spike. The demand sustained over the last few months. Thank you for that, Anuj. This conversation is so interesting. I'm really enjoying it, and I wish we could just go on, but we are running out of time. But we do have time for another minute or so, but I'm going to make it a rapid fire question. So please just take a few seconds in your responses. I'm going to ask each one of you to just define in 1 or 2 words, or maybe 3 words or 4 words, pick a few words. How would you measure the resilience of portfolios in the new world? What would be the 1 or 2 things you would look for that would say, aha, that's a good one? Nirupa, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the 2 measures I would use, one is customer loyalty or referral, so your repeat customers. And the second one is, your market share, because see, when the market is bad, it's bad for everybody. The only way you know that you are doing better than the rest or your portfolio is doing better than the rest if your market share is increasing. So I would say market share and customer loyalty or repeat business.
Hang on. Murli?
Choose your product. and make sure that you stick to your basics on that. And as you know that we have chosen development management as a model, where it's a low equity, high return model, and product is mid-market or affordable housing segment, where, as Anuj said, there is a next 10-15 year demand, 20-year demand is there. So stay focused. And with respect to governance, culture, DNA, these are all born with us. So don't alter that. Just stay firm on that. Whatever, whether it's $1 billion enterprise or $2 billion enterprise, do not change your DNA and culture part of it. Just stay firm. That's where we looked at.
Great, thank you. Mani?
First, in terms of how a resilient portfolio should be, I just have 4 points. So one is a resilient portfolio should be able to manage risk and mitigate volatility. The second, as Nirupa said, be very diversified in terms of exposure to multiple sources of income. Be very nimble and be very flexible so that you can really capture the upside as and when market opportunities emerge. And fourth is be very consistent. You should be able to deliver steady risk return profiles across various market cycles.
Great. Anuj, you have any points there?
Yeah, just two very quick ones, Sandeep. I know you've run out of time. I would say is, Sandeep, I would really measure it by seeing whether the empathy within the organization has gone up within these times, and empathy towards all the stakeholders, whether it's your employees or your customers or the society at large. There has to be some learning that we have to have out of this entire pandemic. And the second one is perhaps close to what Murli and Nirupa have said is, remain true to your DNA, manage the continuity. Who've been able to do that? I would say those are the two things that I would really say.
Very nicely summarized. Thank you, everyone. This was fantastic. I picked up 5 themes. I'm just quickly going to summarize them. There were many notes I took, but certainly the 5 that stand out. It's an always on culture that survives. It's got to be driven by leadership. It's got to be across the entire organization. You've got to be true to yourself, and you've got to be grounded as an organization. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed this. And with that, we'll conclude this session and turn it over to Shirley and Isha.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Sandeep Sethi. I think the way you put it together, everything from the way you started till the very end, the rapid fire, it brought about so many fantastic views from our entire panel. So once again, I'd like to say a big thank you to you for chairing the session. And may I once again thank our panelists, Mr. Malyapan, Mr. Puri, Ms. Shankar, and Mr. Rangarajan for sharing their views with us. I think we all do believe, and something very, very common in all our beliefs is our core culture, the value system that we've got to have, being true to our DNA, making sure that we're empathetic towards our customers, our employees, really all the stakeholders that are involved. I think this is something that each one of us in our organizations believe in, how it's time for developers to change. We've seen the last year or so has been very challenging for the entire real estate industry, and we've overcome that. We're really on the rise. So thank you for sharing your views with us, the various thoughts that you come from, how we've got to be so much more agile. I think it's been a pleasure hearing all of you all, and thank you once again for joining us in the panel discussion and making it so very lively. And as I thank our panelists and our moderator for having joined us, may I once again encourage our viewers to please share their thoughts with us on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, or on Facebook using our hashtag. And do remember to tag us with ET Best Brands as we get all set to present to you a moment that we have been waiting for. Yes, very soon we're going to unveil the Economic Times Best Realty Brands 2020-2021 coffee table book, and also felicitate all the brands that have made it to the listing, because we truly believe in acknowledging brands that have created a name for themselves in the industry. We are here to celebrate and immortalize brands that have enriched the Indian society through their tireless contributions in the realty sector. So let us now welcome to do the honors Ms. Mandira Bedi, actor, television presenter, fashion designer, influencer, joining us for the unveiling of the Economic Times Best Realty Brands 2020-2021.
Hello everyone. I wish I were addressing all of you in person, but the dramatic spread of COVID-19 has disrupted lives, livelihoods, communities, and businesses worldwide, creating the new normal that is so talked about. The real estate sector is the most globally recognized sector. The sector is divided into 4 segments: housing, retail, hospitality, and commercial. The growth of this sector has completely been complemented by the urban and semi-urban accommodations. The construction industry ranks 3rd in India, and in India's realty sector has shown the largest improvements globally. India has earned the 34th rank globally on the Global Real Estate Transparency Index. India's infrastructure and real estate markets has made a multitude of technical developments and innovations. This has helped India to create a mark on the inroads that are expected to reshape the future of this industry. The Indian property space has proven that we are not far away from the global leaders when it comes to assimilation of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Having successfully covered brand stories in specific sectors such as BFSI, education, healthcare, FMCG, technology, lifestyle and luxury, entrepreneurs, and many more, the Economic Times now looks to unveil the most comprehensive study of leading brands in the space of realty by launching this coveted book, which will feature brands that have shown constant innovation and relatability, based on their values, style of operation here, and the kind of influence they have on Indian consumers. Remember, as the market gets more seasoned, it is only the select few brands that will weather the tide. This curation aspires to put on the map, celebrate, and immortalize brands that have enriched Indian society through their tireless contribution. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's shine a spotlight on this galaxy of eminent indigenous brands that are going to be recognized for their sustained brilliance. Our first felicitation of the evening is to the Adarsh Group. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for their leading electrifying solutions. Up next is Bombay's most trusted real estate developers. Let's congratulate Bombay Realty.
Yes, once again, Bombay Realty has been recognized as the best Economic Times brand for 2021. The brand only ascertains and reinstates our faith in our own brand, gives a positive morale to the people who work with Bombay Realty, and it maintains the stature of one of the most futuristic and luxurious brand. Bombay Realty is a venture of Bombay Dyeing, a part of Wadia Group, one of the oldest corporate in India. We are a 72 years old company. We have brands like Goyer, Britannia, Bombay Dyeing, Bombay Burma, and many. In every way, Wadia Group has touched the lives of every Indian in some of the other forms. Bombay Realty is a flagship project. A project's name is Island City Centre, which is a centrally located project, and it's an expanse of 23 acres. On 23 acres, we have more than 45 privileges, and the core belief of the company is offering a luxury, actual life in today's world where people stay in a very claustrophobic environment. Island City Centre experience the space, a life to live, a life within. We would like to once again thanks Economic Times for recognizing a true project, Bombay Realty, for its best real estate brand for 2021. Thank you, Economic Times.
When it comes to places people want to live, work, connect, and discover, it's none other than Brookfield Properties. Big congratulations to Brookfield Properties.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you are keeping safe. First, my gratitude goes out to the organizers and eminent jury for creating a platform to recognize the brand's efforts contributing towards the India growth story. For us at Brookfield Properties, recognitions are not just a checkbox that we tick, but it's a testament to our commitment towards developing world-class properties. It seems like yesterday that a handful of us was working on resolving and stabilizing our first 8 million square feet portfolio. 8 turned to 15, and before we realized, 15 was a 42. With every new pin code, we have set new benchmarks for quality, safety, and convenience for our tenants, and will continue to do so to give resilience to their businesses. Receiving this prestigious recognition would be special because this would further emphasize Brookfield Properties' scale, design, and operational excellence.
Coming up next is Building Blocks Group. Congratulations to Building Blocks Group. The next brands are an experience of a lifetime. Let's give a huge shout out to Concord.
Hi, I'm Nesa, Executive Director of Concord, Bangalore.
Hi everyone, myself Anil, and the Executive Director of Concord.
We would like to thank Economic Times for recognizing Concord to be a part of ET Best Realty Brands of 2021. It's indeed a great pleasure to be a part of this esteemed program.
We as a Concord began our journey 22 years back. We have delivered close to 20 million square feet of commercial and residential space. At Concord, we just don't believe only in delivering homes. We believe in empowering the home buyers and help them achieve their dream home by providing the best experiences for life.
Going forward, we'd like to enhance on building those experiences by relating and meeting the new age home buyer and millions of aspiring Indians. We'd like to upgrade their lifestyle and help them create memories.
We believe in providing the more as a minimum and help us in achieving our next milestone of 20 million square feet.
We'd like to thank once again Economic Times for making us part of ET Best Realty Brands 2021. We would make it a personal responsibility to feature in that list for many more years to come.
Thank you once again from every Concord.
Thank you.
Our next brand is the one-stop shop for premium luxury villas and apartments. Let's give a shout out to Estilo Moderno Realty Private Limited.
Hi, I am Dr. Sagar Salgaonkar, Managing Director of Estilo Moderno Realty Private Limited. First of all, I would like to thank Economic Times for the honor that they have bestowed on us by giving us the Best Realty Award. This award is an endorsement of the three core values that we as a company have. One, quality construction. Second, customer-centric approach, keeping the customer at the center of our entire planning. And third, on-time delivery with best value to the customer. I would like to thank my wonderful team. Without them, this journey would not at all have been possible. It's the best team that I could have had and asked for. This award will definitely be a big boost for us to continue our good work in the future. Thank you once again, E.T. Mogasuri.
Coming up next is Express Projects Private Limited. Big congratulations to Express Projects.
We thank Economic Times for recognizing the efforts of Express Builders and granting us the award of one of the most promising real estate brands of the country. Express Builders holds a legacy of last 40 years wherein we have done pan-India projects in NCR, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad and numerous other cities. Completed about more than 70 projects. We are happy to be a part of the growth of this country.
When looking for end-to-end real estate services, shout out to the Guardian Group. Big congratulations to the Guardian Group.
Hi, this is Kaushal Agarwal here, Chairman, the Guardian Real Estate Advisory. I take this opportunity to thank ET for this honor. We are one of the youngest and fastest growing organization in real estate advisory. We started with a team of 6 people, today we are more than 450 people. We have a dedicated team of 2,000 plus channel partners. We have to our credit 78 launches in the last 3 years and 150% growth year-to-year basis. We are here for a story larger than this. We are glad ET has recognized our passion. Thank you so much.
Next up is one of India's leading realty legends. Let's welcome the K. Raheja Corp.
Hi everyone, Ashish Thami here on the side, Senior Vice President, Sales and Marketing, K. Raheja Corp. It's wonderful and truly feel honored to be here on this forum. Thank you ET for recognizing us and considering us amongst the ET Realty Best Brands this year. The year that was a very challenging but also an exhilarating one. With strong performances on our Ultra HNI space led by Artesia at Worli and Vivaria at Mahalakshmi, the residential business almost tripled its revenue line. As we step into this new year with a lot more hope and conviction, we hope to stick to our core in the city of Bombay by launching a luxury project each in Juhu and Mahalakshmi, and are excited to venture into newer markets like Bangalore and Navi Mumbai. Thank you ET once again and wishing you all the very best.
Up next is Kohinoor Square. Please, let's give it up for Kohinoor Square. Moving ahead, how can we miss shouting out to India's leading real estate developer? Let's give a huge round of applause for L&T Realty.
Hello, I'm Sanjay Mehrotra. I'm the National Head for Sales Marketing CRM at L&T Realty. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank ET for bestowing upon us the honor of being one of the best realty companies of the year 2021. As most of you must be aware, that L&T Realty is the youngest member of its parent company, L&T, which is a 90-year-old company and enjoys tremendous amount of respect among the customers, both nationally and internationally. We too enjoy a similar amount of confidence and respect among the customers on being ethical, transparent, and ready to deliver whatever we promise. Let me tell you, the L&T Realty is going to be one of the most talked about companies in coming decades. Our expertise on design, construction side has given us tremendous amount of edge in the market and helped us deliver large number of products both in residential, commercial and retail side. One of the most talked about ones is a TOD at Seawoods that's called Seawood Central. It's worth a visit. I'd like to thank once again ET for giving us this recognition of being one of the best brands of 2021. I also like to thank everyone who's here, and I'm proud to be part of this forum, and thank you very much for inviting me here.
Up next is Prime Life Spaces.
Hi everybody. We really thank you very much for selecting us for our project Arit Homes. Prime Life Space always has been part of many other fields also. Basically, we have grown as an engineering company, as a marketing company, as a lot of consultancy in merger and acquisitions. We have done few projects in Pune, Mumbai. Also, we have been part of the biggest transactions of the country with Blackstone, with Larsen Toubro, with Suntech Realty, including Rahejaz. Have been part of the national project Seawood Railway Station, and one of the best shopping mall commercial retail and hotel in Chandigarh Elante Mall. So these are few projects which have been part of our group. We did one of the big merger acquisition, L&T Geotech. Apart from that, we have been part of many contracts in the country. Company brand is created only on one, and that is faith, trust with the customer and the honesty towards the work. That is what our real principle, and excellence and the technology, and that is what we believed in, and we are trying our level best that Prime Life Space to be at a stage where we can proudly say that we deliver the best product. Affordable luxury product is our main aim. Arit Homes. We created this township with real passion. It has got everything under one roof. We have created world-class 60,000 square feet of a club facility. All technology is used into this project, like Maiwan technology, Malaysian technology. We have created one of the most beautiful concept meditation center here. Apart from the podium gardens, green building, one of the only platinum rated project as an integrated complex. So this project has given a lot of satisfaction to our company, lot of mileage in the Chennai and South area. We really thank ET for awarding us. One big thing I would like to say about the Chennai Arit Homes project, we are getting the highest rental yield of the country, 8% return in the residential sector. People used to think only that commercial sector can fetch good returns in the investments. Here 8% rental return with 6.75 of the home loan rate. You are literally just not paying anything and getting your home. Is like a resort type lifestyle, hotel type structure. Your feeling is mind blowing, having everything under one roof. This is what I would like to say. I would like to present this project to you all.
Our next brand is Prozone Into. Let's give a shout out to Prozone Into.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to receive this recognition from the Economic Times Best Realty 2021. We started Prozone 14 years ago with a vision to create beautiful mixed-use developments which would be the emerging centers of our new cities. We have been able to achieve that sort of vision. Now we have some of the most beautiful malls and gated communities and office developments across the country. And I would like to take this occasion to thank partners in India and abroad. Thank you very much, Economic Times, for this beautiful recognition, and we will work very, very hard to maybe live up to even higher levels.
Our next brand is the leading developer in Kolkata. Let's give it up for the PS Group.
For this Brand of the Year award. It's our privilege to receive this award. For 3 decades, it's been our endeavor to provide good quality time to all our customers. I'd like to also thank all my employees and other stakeholders for believing in our cause and being part of this greater vision. We look forward to working harder and striving for excellence. Thank you.
Let's give a shout out to the leading construction company, Raviraj Realty. Congratulations, Raviraj Realty.
Hi, I am Abhinandan Sakla, CEO of Raviraj Realty, and this is our director team. It's a great honor for me to attend this Best Realty Brand Award 2021 from Economic Times, and the credit goes to the team who supported the company to attain this overwhelming success for the past few years. This award is for our customers and associates who have shown trust in us, and we feel proud to say that we are now a family of more than 12,000 customers and completed more than 65 landmark projects in Pune. Thank you so much. Thank you, Economic Times.
When it's building offices of the future, let's give a shout out to RMZ Group. Congratulations to RMZ Group.
Hello, hope all of you are doing well and staying safe. I'm Ashdeep Sethi, Managing Director, Executive Board, RMZ Corp. We're pleased to receive the Best Realty Brand Awards 2021 from the Economics Times. It's been 18 years, we're growing rapidly. RMZ has over 200 enterprise customers in 6 cities across India with 67 million square feet of asset under management worth $10 billion. Our passion for urban life is paramount, and we build spaces where great companies grow and thrive. With our hyper-growth strategy and pursuit of exponential technology, we drive towards building the future of space. This award is dedicated to our strong and a passionate team who have continuously achieved milestones with their experiences, futuristic approach, and commitment. Our leadership team has acquired, built, leased, financed, and divested some of the world's best and marquee assets. We have proven history of delivering on bold and complex asset transformation that creates long-term value and delivers world-class products to our enterprise clients. We continuously seek and realize opportunity for our value creation. We look forward for a wonderful 2021. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, up next is Ubercorp Projects. Let's give it up for Ubercorp Projects.
Hi, I'm Irtaza Mirza and I'm the co-founder of Ubercorp. We are very excited to win the Economic Times Best Realty Brands Award and also be in the company of other recipients of this recognition. This award reinforces our conviction in the Uber way and encourages us to expand what we can achieve. And for that, we are very grateful. We began as an ambitious journey in 2015, and today it's an award-winning and trusted name in real estate, known for delivering world-class projects. Our successes have been fueled by our values and ethics, which have helped us earn the trust of hundreds of happy customers. Ubercorp is unique in the real estate market because we've known that thoughtful development starts with teamwork. And so we collaborate with some of the best minds in the business who share our vision and join us in our tradition of excellence. We are extremely hopeful about the future as we expand our horizons into other cities. As always, we will continue to travel the extra mile to deliver the exceptional every single time. Thank you again to ET and to every person that's been on this journey with us. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, last but certainly not the least, VTP Realty. Big congratulations to VTP Realty.
Hello everyone, I'm Sachin, Bhandari, CEO of VTP Realty. Today I feel honored and proud to be declared as the best realty brand by ETH and Times of India Group. This is a testimony of our philosophy of being thoughtful in everything that we do while constructing homes and the premium commercial real estate. At VTP Realty, we are uncompromising when it comes to design, when it comes to building the properties, and when it comes to taking care of our customers. And that's why we say we design better, we build better, we care more. We'll continue to do so. We are quite motivated further to do better, and we'll keep changing and increasing the benchmarks for us as well as for the industry. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Mandra Bedi, for doing the honors. Let us now present our audience with a few more the Economic Times Best Realty Brands, and we congratulate APJ Global Logistics Park.
Hi, I am Shofik Mandal, Director, APJ Global Industrial and Logistics Park. I'm really proud to accept this award on behalf of everyone at APJ Surendra Group and APJ Global Logistics and from our teams in Delhi, Faridabad and across the country. At APJ Global Logistics Park, we have been pushing boundaries to connect and simplify various supply chains through logistics and warehousing, especially while the entire nation continues to fight the war against COVID-19. We have stood by our group's values being solid, committed, inspired, truthful and entrepreneurial. This award is a testimony to our commitment to deliver focused value to our clients and customers across the logistics business through sustainable and innovative growth. Thank you, Economic Times, for the motivation, encouragement and for acknowledging our good work. Thank you.
Many congratulations to the entire team of DLF. Up next is MR India. Taking the Walk of Fame next is Joyville Shapoorji Housing. Let's hear it up for Omax. Our best wishes to the entire team of Farande Spaces. Congratulations in order for Provident Housing. Let us now put our hands together for Purvankara. Fantastic job done. Many congratulations to Runwal Group.
Hi, I am Razis Stogi, the Executive Director with Runwal Group. I would like to thank Economic Times and the entire organizing team behind this initiative. Runwal Group has a rich legacy of over 40 years and is one of the topmost real estate developers of the country. The group has a strong track record of delivery and has been growing rapidly even though during the recent pandemic period. It is this consistent performance that has led to recognitions such as this one. Getting this recognition from a reputed media brand such as Economic Times means a lot, and I'm sure it will add a lot of value. Thank you once again for this one.
Our best wishes and more to Sugi Group. Let's hear it for Tej Raj Promoters and Builders.
Namaskar, I am Tejraj Patil, Founder Director of Tejraj Promoters and Builders. Our brand promise to create iconic landmarks that fulfill modern lifestyle aspirations. This award will inspire our team to further delight our customers with smart, intelligent and eco-friendly designs. I happily share this award with my team and with those who believe in our company. I heartily thank ET for appreciating our work and motivating us to achieve more. Thank you everyone for your continuous support and for being a part of Tejraj family.
Let us present to you yet another The Economic Times Best Realty brand, the Phoenix Palladium. Many congratulations to Vascon Engineers. Let's hear it for yet another The Economic Times Best Realty brand, VGN Projects Estate.
Hello everybody, I am Pratish Vedapudi, Managing Director of VGN Projects Estates, a company that has been in the real estate industry in Chennai from the year 1942. I would like to sincerely thank Economic Times for organizing this virtual event due to this COVID pandemic. VGN is a company that has been in the real estate industry and develops residences, commercial, retail and plots in Tamil Nadu. In the plotted layout division, we have developed close to 600 acres of plotted development consisting of 20,000 residential plots. In the residential division, we have successfully delivered 10,500 apartments and close to 30,000 plus happy families live in VGN projects. VGN is one of the most respected and reputed builders in Chennai. Starting with affordable housing and spreading our wings to the ultra luxury segment, we have catered to all sections of the society. Synonymous with quality, delivery and expertise, VGN is a name that is here to stay. Our goal is to ensure that a house is built for everyone in Tamil Nadu. We aim to be in the top 5 in the real estate industry in South India by the year 2025. I would like to sincerely convey my appreciation and thanks to Economic Times for have conferred this award on VGN Projects Estates. Thank you so much. Best wishes.
We'd like to pass our best wishes to all the brands that made it to the listing of the Economic Times Best Realty brands. Here's wishing you all the very best. The Economic Times Best Realty brands, acknowledging brands that are really game changers when it comes to the realty industry. I'd like to take this opportunity by thanking each and every member of our audience for joining in, tuning in, and making sure that you make this such a lively evening for all of us right here at ET Edge. I'd once again like to encourage you to please share your thoughts with us on the social media using our hashtag #ETBestBrands. On behalf of the entire team of ET Edge, this is Isha Phalla signing off. Have a great evening ahead.
you